Hello, Los Angeles Dodgers fans. We've got fresh, exclusive videos and the latest updates just for you. Before we dive in, make sure to join our channel and hit that like button. This is the best way to stay on top of all the breaking news. Evan Phillips' recent trip to the injured list might have Dodgers fans holding their breath, but both the pitcher and the team are urging calm. The bullpen ace was placed on the 15-day IL due to discomfort in his right forearm, a body part that, in baseball, can set off alarms when it flares up. For many pitchers, that kind of soreness brings immediate fears of Tommy John surgery. But for now, the Dodgers are staying optimistic and framing the move as precautionary, not reactive. Manager Dave Roberts made it clear that this was about being smart in May rather than reckless, especially with a long season still ahead. He even admitted that Phillips could have taken the mound if the team had absolutely needed him to. But in a marathon of a 162-game season, why gamble with the health of your most reliable late-game arm? This decision came just as the Dodgers kicked off their series against the Miami Marlins, and shortly after game time, Phillips' move to the IL was announced. In his place, Matt Sauer was called up, and boy did he make the most of the opportunity, locking down a 4-out save in what turned into a statement win for LA. That kind of next-man-up mentality is what keeps this Dodgers bullpen moving despite injury setbacks. But let's not overlook what they're missing with Phillips out. He's pitched 5.2 scoreless innings this season across 7 appearances and hasn't allowed a single run. The guy's been nails. When a pitcher is dealing like that and then suddenly goes down, you'd be forgiven for worrying. But both Roberts and Phillips are sending a consistent message. This is not panic time. Roberts, speaking to Sportsnet LA, emphasized that Phillips' arm just wasn't bouncing back the way the team had hoped. Not terrible, not alarming, just not where they needed it to be. That lingering fatigue raised enough concern for them to pause and take a breath. Could he have kept pitching through it? Sure, but could it have led to something more serious down the line? That's the risk the Dodgers weren't willing to take. Roberts stated their goal is to have him ready to return right when he's eligible on the 16th day. That level of specificity and confidence suggests the team isn't bracing for a worst-case scenario. They're simply giving a key arm the time it needs to catch up and get right. Phillips, too, didn't sound the alarm in his media session. If anything, he sounded frustrated because he still feels like he can contribute. That's a good sign, especially coming from a pitcher. He said the soreness initially felt like a natural part of his ramp-up, having just come back last month from earlier injury. I always felt good when I pitched, he explained, and that's exactly what makes this even more of a disappointment for him. This isn't about pain during outings. It's about the recovery process in between. That's where the red flag popped up. And unfortunately, the Dodgers just aren't in a position to let a guy take a few extra days off mid-season. They need to make smart, roster-wide decisions. The plan now is to get a more thorough evaluation in Arizona over the next few days. Phillips mentioned that the training staff remains very optimistic, and that's key. When you've got a guy who's already battled back from a rotator cuff issue earlier in the year, there's reason to believe this is just one more small hurdle on the comeback trail. He emphasized that they'll know more soon, but all signs point to this being more of a brief pause than a detour. If this truly is just a quick 15-day IL stint, the Dodgers may look back on it as a masterstroke in long-term bullpen management. Let's not forget, Phillips' 2025 season already got off to a rocky start. He didn't even make opening day thanks to a shoulder injury that had been nagging him since last October. That injury, classified as a rotator cuff strain, turned out to be more serious than initially thought. In fact, during spring training, Phillips revealed that he'd suffered a partial tear in the back of his rotator cuff during the 2024 postseason, an injury severe enough to keep him out of the World Series. That absence was felt deeply by Dodgers fans, who knew how important he'd been to their run all year. And when the full extent of the damage came out, it made his absence hurt even more. The diagnosis only came to light after an off-season MRI. Until then, the injury had mostly been managed with rest and rehab. But once it was confirmed, Phillips went to work on a recovery that kept him off the mound until April. He eventually made his way back via a rehab stint with AAA Oklahoma City, where he looked solid across 6 appearances. By the time he was called up, it seemed like everything was finally falling into place. Now, with this latest setback, it's understandable why there's a bit of caution in the air, but again, not panic. This isn't a re-injury of a shoulder. It's a new, isolated issue, and one that both Phillips and the medical staff believe is manageable. Still, it's worth remembering just how important Phillips has been to this Dodgers bullpen. Since arriving in LA, he's emerged as one of the most trusted arms late in games. Whether it's the 7th, 8th, or 9th, Roberts has leaned on him to shut the door. He doesn't overpower hitters with 100 miles per hour heat, but his precision, pitch mix, and composure make him lethal. Losing a guy like that, even for just 2 weeks, reshuffles the entire bullpen hierarchy. Other arms will need to step up, and for a team that's already lost multiple pitchers to injury this season, that challenge is getting steeper by the day. The financial side of this also can't be ignored. The Dodgers and Phillips avoided arbitration this year by agreeing to a 1-year deal worth $6.1 million. That's not a minor investment, and it underscores just how much faith the team has in his ability to bounce back and be a difference maker. It also adds a little pressure, because at that price, the Dodgers are counting on Phillips to be available when it matters most. And the postseason is where he's shined in the past. If sitting him in May means he's fully ready by September and October, then that's a trade this team will take every time. So here we are, Evan Phillips is on the shelf again, but the tone around the team is not doom and gloom. It's cautious optimism. It's a team being smart in the face of adversity, not stubborn. If the forecast holds true, Phillips will be back before the end of May, ready to lock down leads once again. Until then, it's up to guys like Sauer, Gratterall, and the rest of the bullpen to keep the ship steady. And if they do, this might just be the breather Phillips needed to be lights out when it really counts. Because for the Dodgers, it's not about April or May, it's about October. And they know they'll need Evan Phillips at full strength when the lights are brightest. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. There are certain names in baseball that go beyond the stats, the rings, and the headlines. They represent something bigger, something cultural, almost mythical. Sandy Koufax is one of those names. You don't even have to be a Dodgers fan to feel the weight his name carries. He's the kind of legend who casts a long shadow over the sport. An icon who, through a relatively brief career, became a symbol of excellence, grace under pressure, and unwavering integrity. That's why the latest rumors hitting the sports world have left many of us with heavy hearts. Whispers are circulating that the great Sandy Koufax may be facing some serious personal struggles in his life right now. While details are scarce, and understandably so, considering Koufax's famously private nature, it's enough to make the entire baseball community pause. Because when a titan like Koufax is going through tough times, it hits differently. It feels personal. Now, before we dive deeper, let's set the tone right. We're not here to speculate irresponsibly or intrude where we don't belong. This is about acknowledging a legend, honoring his legacy, and sharing in that communal spirit that sports uniquely create, where we rally behind our heroes not just in their prime, but when they need us most. Over the years, Koufax has remained a beacon of humility and class. After retiring at the peak of his powers due to arthritis, he didn't chase the spotlight or try to stretch out his career. Instead, he walked away gracefully, a move that only added to the mystique. He stayed around the game quietly, mentoring young pitchers, especially during his time advising the Dodgers staff. That discretion and quiet strength make these recent rumors even more poignant. There's a silence that now feels loud, and in that quiet, fans are asking, what's happening with Sandy? Reports started surfacing online last week, mostly through smaller, regional sources and scattered social media posts. Nothing confirmed, nothing official, just a rising tide of concern. Some say he's been in and out of hospitals. Others whisper about a decline in health or a personal loss he's dealing with. But the common thread is this. Sandy Koufax, the man who once stood like a giant on the mound, might be facing one of the toughest innings of his life. And while his representatives have yet to make any formal statement, that absence of clarity has only deepened the concern. It's a reminder that even the legends, those we elevate to near-invincible status, are human too. They face battles we can't always see. And sometimes, the strongest among us are also the most silent. For Dodgers fans, this hits close to home. Koufax isn't just a former player. He's a pillar of the franchise's identity. He's the embodiment of old-school values, quiet excellence, dignity, and commitment. Think about it. This is the guy who refused to pitch Game 1 of the 1965 World Series because it fell on Yom Kippur. That wasn't a publicity stunt. That was conviction. That was Sandy. And that's why the fan base feels such a deep connection to him, even decades after his last pitch. The idea that someone like him might now be struggling, it just doesn't sit easy. Not because we expect him to be invincible, but because we hold him in such high regard. It's like hearing that your childhood hero, the one you always thought stood 10 feet tall, is hurting. That kind of news lands differently. Across the broader baseball world, the concern has sparked a wave of reflection. Journalists, former players, fans, they're all sharing stories. Little anecdotes from spring training, memories of watching him pitch live, or hearing their parents talk about the greatest lefty of all time. It's a beautiful, bittersweet tribute that speaks volumes about his impact. You don't get this kind of reverence from just being good at your sport. This comes from the way he carried himself. Never boastful, never flashy, just relentlessly excellent. He made the impossible look effortless, and in doing so, gave people a reason to believe in greatness. And now, as that greatness possibly faces its toughest chapter, the outpouring of love is as much about respect as it is about gratitude. But here's what really makes this moment stand out: the silence. Sandy Koufax has never been one for interviews or public appearances. In the age of oversharing and constant access, he remains one of the last enigmas. He doesn't tweet. He doesn't do hot takes on cable sports shows. And that silence? It's powerful. It's rare. So when rumors surface and there's no denial, no statement, just quiet, it speaks volumes. Maybe too much. It creates space for worry. And yet, in that space, you also see something else: the depth of feeling people still have for him. The quiet makes room for memory. It makes room for reflection. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. We're remembering the man behind the legend and realizing how much he still means to the game. There's a lesson here that goes beyond baseball. It's about how we treat our heroes when the cameras are off, when the headlines fade, when they're no longer throwing 99 miles per hour fastballs or striking out batters with a devastating curve. What do we owe them then? Maybe it's moments like this, where we offer empathy, respect, and acknowledgement without needing a full story. Maybe we support them in the silence, just as they supported our dreams from afar. Sandy Koufax didn't just pitch, he inspired. He represented what it meant to be excellent without ego, dominant without cruelty, competitive without compromise. And even now, when he may be facing something we can't fully understand, we can stand with him the way he stood on the mound, calm, focused, and full of heart. It's still unclear what exactly is happening in Koufax's life. And maybe we'll never know. Maybe that's how he wants it. But what we do know is that the baseball world is holding its breath a little. It's hoping. It's remembering. It's sending silent prayers and loud love to a man who deserves both. Because no matter what he's going through, he gave us moments we'll never forget. And now, it's our turn to give back, not with demands or drama, but with dignity, just like he would. It's not about whether he makes a public comeback or addresses the rumors. It's about letting him know, in whatever way we can, that he's not alone in this, that the game hasn't forgotten him, that we haven't forgotten him. So, if you're a baseball fan, hell, if you're just a fan of greatness, take a moment today. Think about Sandy Koufax. Think about the way he carried himself. The strikeouts, yes. The perfect games, absolutely. But also the silence, the composure, the way he walked away from the game with his head held high, his legacy intact. That kind of grace is rare. And when someone like that is facing hard times, the least we can do is reflect some of that grace back. We can honor him with our thoughts, our words, and our memories. We can make sure that whatever shadows he's walking through now, he knows there's still light behind him. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.